Hello, everybody. It's very nice to meet you today. We are going to discuss a very important topic in both anthropology and sociology. And I want you to figure out what we are probably going to talk about today. In modern cosmopolitan multicultural societies, ethnic diversity is ought to be a source of social power, development, and creativity rather than tension, hostility, and hatred. I think you started to think what we are going to talk about. In cosmopolitan modern societies, we have many people from different cultural backgrounds living together, and there are newcomers all of the time that and it is better for the whole society that we will welcome those newcomers and will make them feel home and feel that they are part of the society, so all people will cooperate with each other. The UNESCO is defining cultural inclusion strategies to promote laws and policies that ensure cultural participation, access, and the right to express and interpret culture. Those newcomers, they need to feel respected, they need to feel appreciated. They are coming from a different cultural backgrounds, and they should not feel that it is a shame or it is something bad to have a different cultural background, and they have the right to keep on respecting their own cultures. They have the right to stay honoring their own culture and at the same time participate in the cultural activities in the new society they live in. Okay, so modern societies are having what we call multiculturalism, a multicultural community in which people should all coexist with each other. We should have multicultural coexistence. Sociology and anthropology care about studying the concepts which are related to that. Some of those concepts can be obstacles or barriers towards multicultural coexistence, and some of those might actually help us promoting the multicultural coexistence and the cultural inclusion. You get the point. Okay. So, what are the main terminologies or keywords that we are going to talk about today? I think now you know them. Number one, ethnocentrism. Number two, cultural relativism. Number three, xenocentrism. Those are very important terms, very important key terms, not only for the sake of studying, no, but for the sake of everyday life, for the sake of making our society more powerful, more harmonious, that people will be able to help each other developing the society rather than quarreling with each other. Look at this caricature, please. I think you can also figure out some of the meanings behind this cartoon. Okay, so what do you see here? Do you see ethnocentrism, cultural relativism, or xenocentrism? Yeah, yeah, I know that you see here ethnocentrism. So what is ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism means that you think that your own culture is the ideal culture and every other culture is inferior. You think that your own culture is superior and all of the other cultures are inferior, and not necessarily all of the other cultures. Maybe you think that your own culture, along with some few cultures, are superior, and some other cultures are inferior. Okay, so this is called ethnocentrism, viewing other cultures from your own cultural perspective, always looking down at people who are doing things different from what you are used to in your own culture. Okay? I think you might know some people who are like that, or at least you heard about some kinds of behavior which reflect this attitude, which reflect ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism was like an offspring of colonization, imperialism, which promoted those ideas. Why? Because at the time of the European wave of colonization of societies and countries in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, those aggressors, those occupiers, they saw themselves as more developed, saw themselves as more powerful, and they wanted at the same time to justify to themselves what they are doing. They wanted to convince themselves that they are not doing something evil or bad in order to not blame themselves, and also they wanted to convince their own societies that it is okay to that it is okay to occupy the lands of other people and take their natural resources and exploit their people. Okay, so if one way of doing that was to convince themselves and to convince the other societies that that those other people are not equal in humanity, and that their cultures are not equal to our culture, that they have inferior cultures and we have the advanced cultures, and therefore it is okay to do that with them. I'm not saying it's okay. They were believing in that it is okay at that time, or at least they were trying to fool themselves to believe that it is okay, or to fool their own people to believe that it is okay to do such aggression against other societies. Do you get my point? So it has some historical roots. Okay, what what is the opposite of ethnocentrism? When you are treating other people with understanding, when you always show them respect and appreciation, and even if they are doing things very different from what you are used to, you try to show some kind of broad-mindedness and try to understand why they are behaving in this way, why they are doing this kind of behavior that you might not be, that with those kinds of behavior might not be very familiar to you. Okay, so for example, let's say that you are invited to a dinner at a friend's house who has a different cultural background, and his family cooked something that you have never thought that it could be eaten. What kind of reaction you are going to show? If you will show that you are disgusted, that you are if you treated them with a kind of, if you told them, or or your face expressions or your behavior made them feel that what is this horrible thing that you are eating? So this will be ethnocentrism or a sign of ethnocentrism. But if you ask questions about the benefits of this kind of food, how the ways they cook it, and you show that you are interested to know more about it, even if you are not, even if you are not going to eat it, but you will show that you respect your culture. What do we call that? We call that cultural relativism. Cultural relativism, which evaluating a culture in valuing a culture on its own term, evaluating a culture on its own terms, that you try to understand the different behavior that is coming from a different culture, not in your own terms, but in their own terms, learning to see from the perspective of another in order to understand a culture. You will try to understand this culture. You will try to know the roots, the causes, the maybe the economic conditions, the political conditions, the religious conditions which led to this kind of behavior. Okay, avoiding being judgmental and say this is bad and this is good and this is right and this is wrong. You don't know yet. You need to study it. You need to understand more about this behavior, and at the meantime you need to show appreciation and respect. This is cultural relativism. I will speak about the third term now. Sometimes the very opposite of ethnocentrism is happening. I'm not talking now about cultural relativism. I'm talking about something else. Sometimes the very opening of the very opposite of ethnocentrism is happening. Ethnocentrism, you feel that your own culture is superior and other people's culture is inferior. But xenocentrism, you are a culturally defeated person. What do I mean by a culturally defeated person? You are ashamed of your own culture. You think that other people's culture is superior and your own culture is inferior. Okay, you feel that you feel that you want to escape. You want to hide this culture from other people. You feel that you don't want to have this sense of loyalty and belonging to your own culture, and you are glorifying the culture of other people. Usually this feeling of being culturally defeated happens uh, after being politically defeated, after being economically defeated, after being colonized for a long period. Okay, after so some of the reactions among some people, of course, not all people who get defeated or get occupied feel in the same way, but some people, okay, they feel that that those others who invaded us, they are much more powerful, they are much more advanced, and we should try to be like them. Okay, and we should abandon our own culture, and they will think that their own culture was the reason, was the cause of this defeat. Okay, so this was the third term today. Now, let's think about that. Suggest one real life example about each of the following three attitudes. I want my students to give me, to suggest one real life example. What do I mean by real life example? Something from your real observations in the society. Even if you didn't observe it yourself, something of what some kind of behavior you heard about from your family, from your friends, which reflects ethnocentrism. Another one that reflects cultural relativism, and a third one that reflects xenocentrism. Okay? Now we have two critical thinking questions that I also want you to think about, please. And you can write in the comments under the video your answers. Okay? Number one, how various agencies of socialization be manipulated, either manipulated or invested to promote each of ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Why I'm saying manipulated? We say manipulated when we mean something negative that is happening. Okay, so sometimes the agencies of socialization get manipulated in order to promote ethnocentrism. How that is happening. I also, from your understanding about the society in which you live, try to explain that. Okay? And how also the different agencies of socialization could be invested to promote the opposite of ethnocentrism, to promote cultural relativism, to promote understanding and mutual respect and multicultural coexistence, how the agencies of socialization could be invested to promote cultural relativism. This was the first question. The second question, discuss the possible social impacts of any of the above cases. Which above cases? I mean, again, I mean ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. What are the social impacts of each of them? On what? On the multicultural coexistence in the contemporary Canadian society, or you can choose any society, any other society in which you live. Okay, in which way ethnocentrism can affect multicultural coexistence, and in which way cultural relativism can affect multicultural coexistence. Okay. And until next class, and you can also write that in the comments, I always want my students to connect everything with the grand sociological theories. And, and please don't copy. Copying is very bad habit. You can read and read and read, but don't copy anybody. Don't copy from any source. Always write in your own words. Always try to express yourself, to speak up your mind. So, in your own words, explain the social presence of each of ethnocentrism, cultural relativism, and xenocentrism from each of the following theoretical perspectives. Those are the grand sociological theories: structural functionalism, conflict theory, symbolic interactionism. How each of those, try to pretend that you are adopting structural functionalism and try to explain ethnocentrism from this perspective and why it is taking place in some societies and among some social groups, and then try to explain cultural relativism and why it is taking place in societies and among some social groups. You will do the same application on the conflict theory, okay? And you will do the same with symbolic interactionism. Thank you very much and see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you. And please don't forget, you can write your questions underneath in the comments, and please try to answer those questions. You so answer my questions in the comments, and you can also ask me other questions so I can answer in our next video. Thank you very much and goodbye. Bye.